Recording in progress.
You never said she wasn't.
As far as I know.
Okay. Why you're taking over?
We'll all sit down once.
There we go. Isabel, right? Is she coming too?
Oh, Isabel.
Isabel won't be here.
Okay. Who else are we missing? Is that it?
That's it.
Those two, right? Yeah.
No more other seats but them.
We're already on air?
No. Oh, we are? We're on air? Oh.
It's 6 o'clock, so I guess Gina's not.
Looks
Last
like
time,
you're taking over.
last time she said, I started going before the meeting where she had it on. Now she's trying to prepare. Oh, darn it.
All right, scoot over.
Do I have to? I have to.
Just grab the gavel.
Someone's gotta leave the meeting.
Lead us up.
Okay. What the? We're gonna call to order the it's the October 9th Plan Commission meeting. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I gotta wrap my head around here, what's going on. Public comment. What do we have public comment for? I gotta,
Nothing on the agenda if anybody wants the public.
oh. That's right, we added this into the,
Yeah,
Forgot.
just if someone has something they want to talk about that's not on the agenda, so.
okay, so
yeah.
I'm opening up for public comment on anything that's not on the agenda, if there's anybody here that would like to say anything. And we are closed public comment. The agenda review and adoption,
I'll move.
got a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Abstain, I wasn't here last
You
time.
were not, okay. Motion approved, or agenda, what, right? Motion agenda. Approval of the August 28th minutes. Did we have to go back to that?
We would,
I'll
yeah,
move.
so we didn't,
Okay.
approve those at the last one.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
so, there was a change or something like that in there too, wasn't there? Correction?
Not that I'm aware of. These ones we didn't have at the last meeting because we didn't have them prepared yet, essentially.
So we need a
I'll move.
motion to approve.
I'll second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nay from Bob, he was not here, you abstained. And then also approval of the September 11th minutes. I get a motion?
I'll move.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, on to the next, new business.
All right. Good evening, Planning Commission members and those in attendance. So for your consideration this evening is a interim use permit renewal. This permit renewal is for Heimkins, which is located at 219 Cedar Street East. The interim use permit was initially obtained in 2018, which gave a approval to Heimkins to display merchandise outside of their store. The Heimkins is proposing to be open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and by appointment. The subject area where they're intending to store the merchandise is not changing from what was initially approved. The size, the square footage, all of that is staying the same from the initial approval. So this means that the items will be stored in portions of the front of the lot and then along the sides of the lot. We do have some info on that memo showing just the indoor retail area and how big that is, which is 2,200 square feet. The front porch is about 160 square feet. So given the square footage, there are minimum parking spaces that are required as part of this. Again, that is staying the same as what was approved last time. So they are meeting all the off-street parking. The entrance will be cleared where there'll be access into the site that will meet ADA requirements. Interim use permits do allow for some discretion in determining the use and the suitability. We do have some conditions on the resolution that's in your memo that are tied to the interim use permit. And then here's just a couple of pictures of that existing storage area for the outdoor display merchandise. Again, this is mimicking the exact proposal on what was initially approved as part of this interim use permit in 2018. So with that, we do have a public hearing for this. So I'd be happy to answer questions as it pertains to this request. The applicant is in attendance, so if there's any questions.
Could you go back to the drawing?
Yep.
Either the drawing or the pictures
Yep.
of that? I'm just curious, if you look on the top picture there, the parking, the drawing shows parking as vertical parking, or, parking straight into the building. But if you look on this picture, there's parallel parking along the drive area, and I'm just curious, which is the appropriate parking spaces? Is it the parking spaces that go right straight into the building, or is it the parallel parking in the drive?
Yeah, so the spaces that are counted as part of that total quantity of spaces are the spaces along the front of the store, and then also the 2 spaces along right here, and then there's 2 spaces in the back. These parallel spaces are part of the adjacent lot and are not part of this lot.
So that's part of Powerhouse.
Correct. Yep.
So how do people, if people are parking in the parallel slots for Powerhouse, and the drive is to the left of like that car that's parked there, is the only drive access to where that little arrow is to pull into this lot?
Yeah, let's flip over to a map here real quick. Be easier to display that. All right, so Heimkins is right here.
Yep.
You can kind of see the display models right here. So yes, pulling in, go to Street View here. All right, so all this is actually surmountable curb along the whole entire way. So there's no curb cuts or curbs that would prevent access really anywhere along here. So yeah, the outdoor or the Ace Hardware, they'd access it here and then parallel park here or over here. For Heimkins, the spaces are right here and then pull in this way. So I wouldn't disagree that, these 2 spaces over here are going to be kind of tight to try to pull into there. So it's going to be dependent on, if someone is parking over here. And I'm not sure, maybe the applicants can speak on this, on how often those spaces are used. I know the spaces in the rear are used for employee parking, from my understanding. But I'm not sure about the ones on the side. And
Yeah, the way it looks in the picture when I drove over there and looked at it, after confirming that the parallel parking belongs to the adjacent lot to the west, parking along the western wall there would be really difficult, if impossible, if those parallel parking spots are full.
yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep,
I'm
good point.
curious how often is that cleared, or is there actually stuff there most of the time, or is it open for parking?
It's open for parking. There's actually one person, well, a couple of this weekend that parked there, but very seldom do people park there because they usually park in the front or they park in Sam's parking lot.
And how many parking spots are they supposed to have?
So I
10?
think is it 10 or 11 in there?
11
Proposed
is
plan is
required,
10
right?
street.
Yeah.
Minimum of 11 street parking space, but off-street parking spaces are required. It's up to 10.
So,
So they only have 9 even right here,
The 2 in the back though, right? Two
way in back,
The
that
ones in
aren't
the back.
showing, gotcha. I thought those were the ones that were still part of it. Is that per code?
yeah, yep, the off-street parking is per code.
Was there any other concerns from the, you
Um,
said you changed some conditions?
No,
Or the
nope,
city
so, what's in the packet is essentially mimicking,
Okay.
mimicking what was approved before.
Okay,
But the commission can put, or add other conditions to it. I think in the past too, I haven't, but I know there's been conversation with the owner, just ensuring that those spaces can be accessed. So, but
Okay.
if that was a concern on one of them, you could look at potential conditions, add any.
well, I can open the public hearing then. All right, I will open public hearing for the interim use permit on Heimkins. If you would like to say anything at all? No? If you would, please, Greg, come up to the podium. You're good? Okay. Okay. Then we will close the public hearing.
I'll move to approve interim use permit for Heimkins.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion pass.
All right.
The second one, what is the conditional use permit for Summit Commons LLC?
Thank you. Okay. I don't know what happened with my part. Okay, there we go. Weird. Something always weird happens with these presentations. Okay, so the next item that we have on the docket is the conditional use permit request for outdoor storage. This has been submitted by Summit Commons LLC. The intent of this application is to allow for outdoor storage of vehicles and recreational items, boats, trailers, ATVs, items similar to that. The space that is being proposed essentially equates to about 237 total parking spaces. The site location for this parcel is right north of Highway 75 and then south of the Wobegon Trail. So the city does own a parcel that's just directly south of this subject site, and that is the street department parcel there. There's also a manufactured home park that's to the southeast of the site. The site does have heavy vegetation throughout the perimeters, mostly deciduous types of trees, and the topography is substantially different from the top of the trail looking down upon the site, perhaps as much as 20 feet difference in elevation from the bottom grade of the site to where the top of the trail is for the Wobegon Trail. Just a couple pictures here. There is one area of the site, which would be the northeast corner, that is more open and visible, specifically along the trail itself. So on this northeast corner, staff has recommended that some deciduous or coniferous trees get planted along this section, and that equates to about a dozen or so deciduous trees along this corner. Again, there's not a ton that we can necessarily do to screen it more than what it is, given the topography differences, if at least seen from the trail itself. A couple more pictures here. This is just looking west along the trail. As you can see, that vegetation right there is pretty consistent from what's found throughout other areas of the site. This picture is showing the entrance of the site as viewed from the city-owned property, right where that star is in that middle picture. So that picture to the left is essentially the entrance, and then the picture in the bottom right is further back to the south at the city-owned parcel. So you can kind of see where that entrance goes in. The applicant does have a recorded access agreement to access the site, and that has been on file and that. So just some site details. Property is zoned B3, commercial. All the surrounding property is zoned rural residential. Our unique facet of our city code, 50212, does state that commercial or industrial uses can have outside storage as a principal or accessory use. That's why this is coming forward too, is we worked with the applicant to kind of look at possible different options and scenarios on how to develop this parcel. And this is one of the ideas that was floated, and thus why the conditional use is coming forward. Just some brief site layout. Again, you can kind of see those coniferous trees along the northeast corner of the site there. There are significant wetland and vegetative areas to the west of this parcel that border the parcel. And then all of the storage areas they are proposing for the parking spaces are outside of the setback requirements. So we kind of gone through a lot of those details. Some more site features and proposed improvements. The applicant is proposing an 8-foot chain link fence around the entire perimeter of the site. The fence will have slots in them on the southeast, east, and northeast sides, which are the more visible areas that directly border some of the residential to the east, and then also towards the entrance of the site. The surface will consist of recycled asphalt, which is a hard surface. Again, access into the site is provided through the existing easement. The entrance will be controlled by a locked gate, and again, heavy vegetation throughout the perimeter of the site. And again, we talk about the topography differences from the trail down into the site. So the site will be visible no matter what we require as part of the screening from the trail itself, just because of the topography. And again, conditions of approval, the commission can place reasonable conditions, which include location of access points, fencing, screening, berming, sign restrictions, height, size, number of buildings, your operation hours, or other conditions that would protect the public interest. Staff recommended conditions, I'll go through these kind of quickly, but these are essentially what is in your resolution. Of course, the first one's template, meeting all the proper permits. The second one, we're going to require that the applicant submit a land disturbance permit application prior to beginning any work on the site. And of course, after the CUP has gone to the council and been approved, then that would be their next step, is to come back and apply for a land disturbance permit. At the time they do that, all the stormwater items need to be met before we can issue that. Lighting, all lighting on the site has to be cut off or hooded to prevent light pollution, and so the lights are just facing directly downward, and we're not getting spilled light at the site. So with that, we are going to require a photometric plan with light fixture details that need to be submitted to us and approved by staff prior to issuing the land disturbance permit. We also have prohibition of junk. We don't want any stored junked, unlicensed, or inoperable vehicles or trailers within the storage yard. Trying to prevent, since the site is going to be visible no matter what we really do, we want to make sure that as people especially are going on the trail, that it's not a big junkyard, but things are being stored there that are operable and properly licensed. Parking stalls, all the parking stalls need to be striped and delineated clearly. Also the drive aisles as well. And then those need to be maintained year round as best as possible. All the vehicles and stored trailers need to be parked in designated spots, and at no time can those block any of those drive access aisles. And that's just to ensure that if, the 237 spaces are what's being proposed, then that's what's being stored on the site, and things aren't being stored outside of those areas in unapproved locations. The outdoor area needs to be screened by a combination of that 8-foot chain link fence with slots on the appropriate sides, and then the vegetation installed as shown in the exhibit and in that initial site plan. City has the right to inspect the premise. We're proposing to do a full site inspection, a year after their improvements have been made in every couple years, but of course, the city reserves the right to inspect upon proper notification to the owner. Outdoor storage area must be used by the users who have entered into agreement with the owner. The hours of operation would be 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., and that's essentially the hours that folks would be accessing the site through a key card or a key lock at the locked gate entrance. We're also requiring a DAMA box, and that's a box that has the key, essentially master key for the city to access in case of emergencies. So that needs to be installed in the front along the gate. Number 12, this language may change. We're still kind of conversating a little bit. So there's some utility needs that would be present going north of the site. So we're working with the applicant to try and reserve a appropriate easement through the site to ensure that that utility corridor will happen and be reserved properly. Amendment, of course, the conditional use permit can be amended, revoked. It can be revoked, so we added language tied to that. And then expiration, the way the expiration works is if they make no progress, and as long as we're having continued conversations and updates and that's considered progress. But if nothing happens, then after a year, this can expire. So the action requested for the Planning Commission is to open and close the public hearing, make a recommendation on the finding of facts, and again, the commission can add, subtract, or place other reasonable conditions. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, the applicants are here, so if there's things that I haven't covered that they would like to cover, I'd ask the commission to consider that.
I do. An A for the first outdoor storage facility, it says you're gonna have a manager of the facility will be nearby. Where's nearby?
So nearby, we do have a property manager in the St. Cloud area.
Okay.
So it would be someone, the team that would be able to do both of them. And Santiago, can you go to the mic?
sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Just for recording.
That's fine. So the question was where the management would be and how close they would be to the site. So we do have a team, a property management team that does operate in St. Cloud. Actually, the mobile home park near the storage site is managed by that team. So it would be close site management, mainly off-site though.
Okay.
So good question.
237 spots, right? Is there a pretty big market for that right now?
Yeah, so actually the demand for RV storage is growing. So as you most may not know, RV storage dominates a lot of that market because of the fact that you're not always going to be in an RV, so people need a spot to store it. Only 14% of HOAs actually allow people to store their RVs at their house, so there is a large demand for it. Kind of thought that would be a concern. So just some numbers to kind of support that. So right now there are 25 million, 25 million RV owners in the nation, with another 9 million expected to come in the next 3 years. And there's only about 3,000 outdoor RV and other vehicle storages in the United States. So if you do the math, it's roughly about 8,000 storage spots that you would need per one of those sites, to keep up with that supply. So really there is a large demand and a lack of supply, especially in this area, for that type of storage.
So is it almost like, can it be used as temporary parking as well? So like you're saying, if they can't have it in their HOA, are people gonna be able to park it, let's say for, a week, 2 weeks, month, and now they're gonna take it out? I mean, will you see a lot of traffic like that?
So as far as the operation of month, that'd be kind of something that we'd be looking more into in the future. We're thinking, monthly, not weekly. But that would be something that would be open to them to do, and then they'd be able to come pick it up or access it as they need. Boats as well, or
That's what I was
whatever
gonna
else.
say.
So as long
Is
as
it
it's
just-
all registered as well.
It's you'd have to register, but you're talking boats or pontoons or RVs or
Yep.
any semi-parking
Trailer,
in there.
enclosed trailers that people can't.
Yeah, semis would be a little bit different. Probably
Okay.
that'd be something that, but yeah, enclosed trailer with recreational vehicles, things that are registered with the state. So.
So what size are the spaces? Are they accommodating for like a big RV at a
Right.
trail?
Yeah, so the size of the stalls predominantly are 12 by 40. You can see some of them are a little bit smaller on that north section, and that's just, you know, to make up for that space. We don't have a lot of that extra, you know, unused space. So it's a wide range of sizes of stalls.
So there's 12 by 40, there's 73 spaces that are pull-through. The 12 by 40 standard is 131. 12 by 26 is 26 spaces, and 12 by 20 is 7 spaces.
You got both storage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
I have a question more with access to the site. 237 vehicles is a lot of storage, a lot of traffic coming in there. I know that area actually pretty well because the scout building is down in there. My kids both went to scouts, but you know, there's the road or the street there, right? Is that,
Yep.
is it Cedar Street? But it goes down there. There's no like delineated street like right into that area. It's actually just kind of opens up in there, and it's just kind of a wide open area. There's it's like city storage, I think, or something in there.
Yep.
So I don't know if there's any plans to kind of delineate that better, or signage, or how are you dealing with that part of it?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So we had staff conversation in regards to just one, you know, if there was a concern for vehicles coming in and going to the site. We figured that the quantity that would be coming and going at any one time is pretty minimum. So we wouldn't anticipate like any like stacking or conflicts, things like that. The delineation, we didn't get specifically into that and how best that would work. I think the applicant had at one time considered, or we had conversated about having some directional signage to help, you know, navigate them to, you know, the
Point them
site
to
and
the
the
entrance.
location into the entrance. Yeah, so I don't know if that's still part of something that's being considered, but if that was a concern, you know, the commission could put conditions on that too.
You know, my question, you're talking operations 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., 7 days a week. And again, being in that spot, you know, that's sewer, water, stuff like that too. You know, my only concern is you have 237 spots there and people come in all times a day with a pretty sensitive area to the city is my only concern. Yeah, just kind of noting that as well.
What do you
Yeah.
mean?
So like, you know, this is where, you know, some of the water and all the water treatment
Oh.
plant is here.
Treatment plant.
You know, the
Oh.
treatment plant is all right here, and so
Okay.
you have people that are going by that to get into there.
Oh, I didn't.
Is there also an RV?
There is a dump, yeah.
Yeah,
There is.
an RV dump, so
Yeah.
that's just my only concern is all hours of the day, not all hours, but 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., pretty wide
Actually,
range, but.
You brought up a good point, because when you said 6 to 9, I was looking at it and thinking, what if I've got my RV or my boat sitting there and it's 2 o'clock in the morning and I realize, oh wait, I wanted to go fishing tomorrow morning or something and I need to get out there. Do I have access to that? Is there a key code? Do I have access to get into that? And what kind of security do you have for after hours for that kind of activity?
So typically, with other storage facilities that we've seen, they have that set range, and after that set time, it locks completely, just to deter, you know, the added security, because it can be a security risk with, you know, the people being able to go there at any time of the day and night.
So it'll be locked down at 9 o'clock and there'll be no access until 6 o'clock the next morning?
Correct.
Okay.
So is the city
Unless,
willing,
just to
I'm
add to
sorry,
that,
go
unless
ahead.
something else was, you know, previously worked out of.
Well, yeah, because in here you say 6 to 9, but isn't there, oh, maybe not. I thought there might have been some limits there, but that was the other one. My fault.
Has the city brought up, because that's a salt storage there too, right, that building? Is that where they fill for all the, is there any concerns with conflicts there as far as busy, you know? winter,
Yeah,
busy
nope.
time of season?
Our public works director was in on all the conversations and didn't express any.
Okay.
Yeah.
but if there is any need, is the city gonna be paying, you know, have to pay, whether they have to improve that entrance in there and maybe do some, because it is kinda, you kinda come into open space and you're like, where do I go? I mean, there's,
Yeah, I've been
sometimes a
down there.
sign doesn't even help.
Yeah, I've been down there. It's
Yeah.
confusing to get to where you wanna go.
But, I mean, I'm just,
Yeah, the city wouldn't be paying for any of those improvements if the, applicant were to wish to, propose something or that.
no, if it's needed though, that's the city's property, right?
Yep,
So the city, I'm just saying, they're not gonna be responsible for that after the fact,
for,
for helping to improve that area if it needs to be.
yeah, no, it's,
Okay.
they're just proposing to make the improvements to their site and that,
Correct.
so the existing
So,
would
so
stay
now all
as
of a sudden,
existing.
you guys say, hey, we realize we need to put some better entrance into there, that's on the city to do. And You're
Yep.
not gonna say, okay,
Yep,
okay.
Nate, you said that there's wetlands to the west of this, and knowing this is 20 feet downgrade from what we got. Is there an issue with wetlands, flooding, and has that been addressed in the plans?
yeah, so it's all outside the floodplain, so none of the site is within the floodplain. The area to the west in that, there are portions of that, and then you can kind of see here the wetland area right here. Their stormwater collection basin is right here. So all that's going to filter down through here into that collection system for the most part, from my understanding.
And it does say engineer is in the process of reviewing.
Yeah, yep. So the engineer they've reviewed a lot of it. There's a couple little details that we're just working through with them, but all those would be addressed before anything could happen on the site. Yep.
Did you anticipate the runoff from the paved areas?
Yes.
Yeah, yep, that's part of the stormwater plan. So yeah, they submitted like
All
a
fit the criteria, I mean, as far as.
100-page stormwater plan. That's very fun reading. If you think ordinances are fun, try reading a stormwater
Well, I
report.
know, 'cause well, the hard surface is gonna create more
Yep.
runoff
Quite a bit more.
Yeah.
instead of, percolating into the ground.
Yeah, you're right, it would. That stormwater plan takes that runoff into consideration.
Okay.
And then Nate, one more thing. You got your last bullet point for your recommendations. Obviously, you talked a little bit about it, of the dedication of the easement through the site, right? It says, please note the verbiage and the requirement is still being worked on by staff and discussed with owners. The language may be modified. So if we approve the conditional use permit tonight, and it goes to council, can you approve it, and then are you gonna change the wordage again? See what I'm saying?
No, so most of that easement stuff is gonna be similar to what you're seeing now. What we're really working through is there's a couple facets of that easement that could be at play. So one is a sewage force main, which would be about a 20-foot easement. The other is a gravity sewer and water, which would increase that easement to 40 or 50 feet.
Okay.
So we're just working through those details with our engineer and then with the applicant on just, ensuring that that's something that they're agreeable to. That's something that we can ask for as part of a condition. It's really not necessarily tied to the performance standards of the site and the use itself.
Okay.
But
Really, the language is, you've got certain aspects, it's one or these, or one of these, depending on. Okay.
yeah,
Thank
We
you.
we have a pipe down there in the east, hill, if you wanna call it that goes to the property line.
This-
For anticipation for, sewer and water going towards the north.
to the
So, and That would
southeast.
fall, with, probably in the eastern section of that property.
Yeah, so we would, oops. Okay, let's see if I can get my cursor here. Nope, you can't see it.
Oh, you had it.
Did I have it?
It'd be the east to the access of that property.
Yeah, so I mean, basically where that entrance is, yeah, it would be going up through that entrance and then, yep, along the east side and then to the north is where that would occur. Yep.
So the easement you're planning on leaving is 50-foot?
So,
Or is that the discussion?
yeah, so we're talking about, so there's two facets. There's a force main, a sewage force main, which would be a 20-foot, and then there's a gravity water and sewer, which would essentially double what that easement would be needed, because it'd be a gravity and then a force main, and a force main wouldn't allow them to tap into that in the future. They'd have to tap into a gravity system. So the gravity system, if we reserved an easement for both, would be larger, but then would allow them future access into that, hookup.
Okay, well, if there aren't no more questions or.
I did have one
more.
other one. The setback to the Wobegon Trail, how far away is the fencing and the planned coniferous trees to the property line along the Wobegon Trail for Stearns County? Do you know how close that is?
Couple hundred feet maybe?
It looks much closer than that.
Yeah,
That's why
I mean, I know the area, it's probably a couple hundred feet.
I've been down there, but if you look at that northeast corner, it borders, it looks like it's bordering right up close to the property line for the.
If these are
Wobegon.
40-foot, it's
Yeah.
probably 50, 60 maybe.
Yeah, I was looking.
So, they would border along the edge of this lot line. Here's the lot lines right here.
Yep.
So the plantings in that would border, I'm not sure by how many feet. But yeah, this would be the section right here in the property
I was just
lines.
wondering if, when you think about the planting, what you want to plant in there to be able to provide some kind of.
Blockage, almost.
What's that?
Like blockage
Yeah,
almost.
from the Wobegon Trail, if maybe you might want to consult with the Stearns County Parks Department. We'll talk to Ben over there and find out what they think would be the best kind of trees and plantings to put in there to provide a nice block along the Wobegon.
Mhm.
It'd definitely be something that we would look into,
Yeah,
to
if you
provide
need-
that to.
And I'd be happy to help you with it.
Maybe they'd even allow you to plant a few trees. Yeah.
Okay, well then, I actually have to open the public hearing on this yet, correct? Okay, so I will open public hearing on the conditional use permit. And if there are not any public comment on that, I can close the public hearing on that. I will do that.
And, I'll move to approve the resolution adopting the findings of fact recommended by the city council, issue a conditional use permit.
Do I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion pass. Old business. What do we got on old business?
Alrighty, yes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
More
try to
trees.
scroll. Thank you. We'll be in touch.
Sounds like a great idea, guys.
Say hi to your dad.
Mark might have been on the Zoom call. Yeah. So he was listening. Okay. So, landscape requirements and industrial properties, this is just coming back after discussion the last couple months here. At the last meeting, we talked about there's, about 4 or 5 different template kind of language. It was more or less meant for discussion. The commission asked to kind of look at options 3 and 4. So what we did is we came back and kind of drafted something. I don't know why I put option 2 here on this memo, but essentially in red is what would be added, and then, crossed off is crossed off. So what we're doing is just clarifying that, these projects that require site plan approval, are required these many trees and shrubs as part of the site plan. But we did add language that states the industrial zone properties, I-1 properties, are exempt from the minimum tree and shrub requirements. However, they still do have to meet these following performance standards. And just try to draft this based on some of the discussion I heard at the last month, so correct me if I'm wrong on these. So the landscape plan needs to provide a mix of deciduous and coniferous trees, with 25% of those being coniferous. That's just to stay consistent with our current requirements. And then we put in there that tree and shrub plantings shall be located along the areas of the site which border public right-of-way front entrances of buildings, perimeters of parking lots, and side corners of building areas. That's just to keep in line with the intent of the aesthetics, you know, where we may not say you need X number of trees, X number of shrubs, but you do need trees and shrubs, and when you plant them, they should be in the areas that are visible from the right of way. We're still creating a higher aesthetic standard. And of course, screening requirements still need to be met. So if we had an industrial zone property that bordered residential property, they would still have to screen that in accordance. Or if they have a storage yard, they'd still have to screen that. So it's not exempting any of that. It's just saying, hey, you don't got to do X number of trees, X number of shrubs if you're industrial, but you do need to do some, and they should be planted in these spots. So really just seeking feedback on this. If there's language that, you know, the commission wishes to tweak or see, please let me know. Otherwise, if this language is what the commission is thinking, then I can bring it back for a formal ordinance amendment, if that's the desire. Yes, Bob.
Under item D there,
Yep.
I would like the word shall changed to may.
Okay.
That provides some discretion depending upon, you know, you can still oversee
Yeah.
it.
Yep. This one?
Yep.
Okay.
And while we're doing that, this is kind of picky wordsmithing, but right above that, a couple lines above that, where it says by an experienced experienced landscape person, instead of person, use the word professional, experienced landscape professional.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay.
I was taught many years ago, never use the word shall.
Okay, what about
What about the
five?
second
What
one?
about 5 down there?
Yeah,
'Cause there's some
5.
shells down
There's a
there,
shell.
too.
Shells.
You know, properties shall meet the following performance standards.
Well, shall tells them they gotta
Gotta
meet
do
the
it.
standards.
Yeah.
That's appropriate.
But on that first one there,
Yeah. Because that's more, yeah. Yeah, that makes
because
sense.
you still have the minimum requirements.
I mean, otherwise, Nate, it looks
I think it's
pretty, it looks
good.
pretty good.
I like the wording.
I like the
Yeah.
compromise.
I think it,
Of our
yes.
discussion last time and between the two
You
that
gotta
we
have
said.
something, and then they can provide a plan, and you can
Yeah.
say, at least it's in these areas.
And you're not
front and
exempting
side.
to say you need
Yeah.
1,000 trees here and.
Yeah,
The only question I have, is there anything in there for like ongoing maintenance? So let's say, I mean, I like the way this is all set up and everything.
well, it used to
but
say that if
it's-
it was a tree or something died, you had so long to replace it.
Yeah, so they would still have to, as part of the site plan, whatever they're proposing and what they install, if things die, they still do have to replace that within a year if they
Yeah.
die within a year.
Okay,
So we're still covered with that,
okay.
yeah.
That's fine. Otherwise-
I mean, I know we had some discussion last month about irrigation and other things, but that's tough.
Yeah, we talked
Yeah,
about
that's
that
tough.
when you have that much and you're trying, now you gotta try to irrigate them, but,
Yeah.
no, this is,
Yeah,
this
looks
looks
good.
good.
I like it as
I
well.
like it.
Okay.
Bring it to, council, see what they think.
Can I get a motion to bring this back?
I'll move.
Okay.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passed. Or is it a motion?
All right, so, other business, so I just have a couple updates. The feed mill property that's off the Wobegon Trail, received half a dozen phone calls on that. Everyone know what I'm talking about? Okay, let's go to a map here.
I'm with you.
Yep.
No, so,
Alrighty. You'll recognize it when you see it. Right here.
Oh.
Feed mill.
oh, the
Yeah.
feed mill.
I did
Yeah.
not
I thought you
hear
said
feed mill either.
Oh,
Yeah, see,
FEMA.
I
Oh.
got the feed mill part, then I would've figured it out, yeah.
Yeah, so this was listed for sale. I think they listed it for like 94,000. It's kind of weird. It's zoned R3 multifamily, but it's not really conducive necessarily for that. The future land use is commercial. So been fielding phone calls on that. I would anticipate someone's gonna be biting soon on that
I didn't
site.
know that listed for sale.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I talked about that property
It's
before.
been for sale for a long time.
Yeah, yep,
Yeah?
they kind of, I think, relisted it
Yeah, I was
or
gonna say.
updated some of the stuff on there. So, just FYI on that. Let's see, the council, a counselor did bring up the CUP for the wedding event venue, at the last meeting, and the council did agree to reconsider, two conditions that were on that CUP. The one condition is tied to the accessory building matching the principal structure, and the other one is tied to the hours of operation. So, the direction, from the council was, to have staff work with the applicant, to go through those two conditions again and bring it back. FYI. The last item that I want to update on is the former gas station site, near downtown. That has been purchased. So, good momentum. I would expect a rezone application to come forward soon. That's another one that's, for whatever reason, zoned R3 multifamily, but
The whole lot got purchased, right?
not from my understanding.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Can you bring it up on the map?
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh,
Just-
yep, sorry.
Just to take a look at something real quick.
Yep.
Cause wasn't it like, it's just like a little bit of it, isn't it?
Yep. So.
Yeah, because that other thing
yeah, 'cause
owns
the-
more
yeah.
of the property.
So there
This is
was
not
a lot line adjustment that we did administratively. So essentially that lot line adjustment, I'm gonna flip back over to this map here. All right. So as deep, so this is the barber shop right here. So as deep as this lot is and as shallow as this one is in length, essentially flip-flop those two in the size. That's what the lot line adjustment. So it made this property shorter and then made this one longer. But both of these are zoned R3 multifamily.
Yeah.
It's
how's that
future-
work? Like, just when you do that lot line adjustment, like,
So money had to change hands, right?
I'm assuming, right?
How does what?
Like, they bought more of that from the barber shop, like?
So, nope, a lot line adjustment application was submitted, then that was approved, and then that set the stage for then that purchase of that
Okay.
site.
Okay, so where are the lot lines gonna be now?
About like right here-ish,
Okay,
It's almost like flip-flop.
I
you
believe.
said.
Yeah, yep, basically kind of flip-flop. So it
So-
gives this more buildable area.
And given that it's multifamily, right now, that's how it's zoned, right?
Yep, but it's future land use guides it for commercial, for both of these parcels and the parcels that abut. So, it's not buildable as a R3 multifamily. It doesn't meet any standards at all. So it really does need to be rezoned, and that's how we guide it for. So, yep. That's the update I have on that.
just a lot and a half there then, huh? Was
Huh?
A lot and a half was purchased there,
Y-
roughly.
That's fair. Yeah, with this one and then half of that one. Yep, basically. Yep. And I think down the road that, there's opportunity too with the other one. So,
Okay.
yeah. Those are the updates I wanted to update y'all on. Any questions on any of that? Okay. Sounds good.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, meeting adjourned.
Welcome to winter.
Really?
Oh, I'm taking it.
I can always use an extra